What's up, Bravehearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Be Married, wanting you to love fearlessly. I am on location right now, so I said, you know what? Let's discuss this topic that was asked in my inbox the other day. The question was asked, my spouse won't sign the divorce papers. Now what? And the question was also asked, why is it that people continue to date knowing that they're still married, but they might be separated? Like, why not just get the divorce? I'm going to explain this in detail because I've been through this myself, right? Some of you know my story. I was married for 15 years. And during this process of separation, there was a time of separation for us where I moved out and she was staying on her own. I was living on my own. And the divorce papers weren't signed yet. And we went back and forth. And the amount of money that I spent just to try, and this isn't no shade to her, okay? I'm just telling my story. This is just my story. But going back and forth and trying to get her just to sign the divorce papers took a while. And it became frustrating. And the amount of money that I spent, the travel back and forth and trying to get this paperwork done. So it can be exhausting. And while I was doing some research online from lawyer Ben Caruso, sorry if I'm messing his name up, but I was reading this article and I thought it was good. He was talking about some of the things that why people won't sign the divorce papers. And I'm going to give you 3 of them that I thought really stood out. And I think a lot of people struggle with this as well. I discussed this on Twitter with a lot of my followers, and it seemed like it's kind of been this same overarching theme of these issues on why they won't sign the divorce papers. The first one, well, let's go with number 3. Number 3 is financial dependence. Now, when you marry, you might have certain things set up, accounts, all these different things going, and someone might be in fear of losing out financially, right? We all know that going through a divorce can really take a toll on you financially. I've been there myself where I was paying my ex-wife. I was paying her. We were separated and I was still paying the phone bill. I was still paying the car note. And at the time, we only had one car. And so she had the car because I wanted to make sure that my daughter was good. So at the time, I didn't even have a car, but we went through this process where we were separated because I wanted to make sure that she and my daughter was good. So when it comes to these finances and worrying if I sign these divorce papers, things aren't going to work out for me financially, I might not have my things together financially, you'll be surprised how many people go through divorce and they might not have their finances in order. If you're going to go through a divorce, make sure you have your finances in order, or maybe you can have someone that you can stay with until you get on your feet. But you will be surprised how many people ducks aren't in a row when it comes to preparing for a divorce. Some people just think that it might not happen, and it actually does, and now you kind of SOL, if you know what I mean. So a lot of times financial dependence plays a big part into this process of why your spouse not signing the divorce paperwork. Number 2 is inability to agree on the divorce terms. This is another one that people don't think about, because the question was asked about why is it that people still date and the divorce papers aren't signed yet. And I'm not trying to justify anything. I just want you to see objectively from a different viewpoint that inability to agree to the divorce terms, you could be going back and forth with your spouse for years. I've known people who have been in court for years trying to get paperwork signed, trying to get these different deals worked out where they might have property, cars, kids, businesses. Like, there's so many different things that you might have built with someone over the course of years, and they might not agree with some things. They're like, nope, you're trying to get over on this. Nope, you're trying to get over on that. You already bitter. You already mad. You already upset. You already having a certain amount of fear in you, knowing that things are about to change in your whole life. So everybody's trying to scramble to get what they want, because at the end of the day, nobody really wants to lose. But a lot of times there's just things that you just don't agree on, and you never think about these things until you go through a divorce, unfortunately. And the number one reason why your spouse won't sign the divorce paperwork is, the number one reason is denial. Because if you've been married to anyone for a certain amount of years, denial can really play into, I can't believe this is actually happening. And they might be afraid to sign the paperwork because it's their reality. It's like, oh, it's officially over. Now, sometimes you can be married to somebody for years and then you both come to a realization. You're like, you know what? You're going through this divorce. You're like, let's just sign the paperwork. Let's get it out the way. I knew our marriage was over before, years in advance. I knew it. So let's sign this paperwork. Let's get it out the way. When I went through my divorce, we didn't really have much. So it was easy for me to sign the paperwork. I just wanted my peace. So it was easy for me to be like, okay, where's the sign? I need to sign wherever. I was willing to pay child support. I was willing to pay alimony. At first, I was a little upset. I was like, man, I can't believe this is actually happening to me, right? But when I realized how important my peace was, I said, I'll pay the child support. I'll pay the alimony. And I had to start all over. And at the end of the day, I just realized how important it was for me to have a clean slate and to live my life the way I wanted to on my terms. Divorce can be messy. It can. So when you talk about people not signing paperwork, it can take a process. There's some people who've been through this thing for years. And some people, not all, but some people, while they're separated, they choose to date. Now, some people, I think where people go wrong is they're not clear when they're out here dating about their situation. I think that's where people go wrong. You have to be honest about, I'm going through a divorce, we're separated, and I might have my kid or she might have the kids, whatever. But if you're out here dating, let whoever you're dating know that this is my current situation and just be upfront. And I might have to pay child support, or I'm about to pay child support for 2 kids or whatever. So this amount of money gonna be coming out my check. So that way you know what you're getting into. And you don't want to mislead anybody, and then you realizing that you and your ex-wife might get back together, but y'all just separated for this season and you just want to have your fun, and then you want to go back to your wife because y'all getting back together. All these things. So I would say to those who are dating, just be honest. When I met my wife, because I'm remarried now, when I met her, I was just honest about the things that I was going through with my divorce. And I think that was one reason why she continued to stay the course with me, and why we eventually end up marrying, because I was honest about where I was going and what my intentions were. And there was some shame at first, because I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually going through a divorce. But once I was able to own up to it, and I was actually able to live with my truth and to be honest about it, the transition was easier. So let me know, anyone who might have any questions about going through a divorce, or why people might not sign the paperwork, or would you date someone? I asked this question on Twitter earlier today. Would you date someone who is separated? They're just kind of waiting on the divorce paperwork to go through. And from some of these situations, from some of the things that I explained, they might have the inability to disagree on the terms of the divorce. So they might be going back and forth in the divorce process. So would you date someone who's going through that process or not? Or do you think that they need more time to heal? I would love to hear your answers in the comment section below, or even with us being on live now, I would like to hear what are your thoughts on this. If not, this is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach. Make sure you stop by the website 5waystoKnow.podia.com, where I have my video series, 5 ways to know if they are the one for you in this dating process. It's going to be a blessing to your life. Make sure you stop by the website and get it. I'll leave it in the comment section below. This is Sean Heineman. Oh, we do have a answer. I wouldn't date them. I would prefer him to be completely divorced. I totally agree with that, because some people, they do need that grieving time apart from everybody. I would say that is something that needs to, because I know when I was going through my separation, even though I was waiting on my divorce papers to be finalized, I still had that time for me to heal as an individual, and even still getting that therapy. I just needed that space, that was my thing. I needed the space for me to heal instead of us being under the same roof. So that was something that helped me tremendously, spending that time by myself and prayer and reading books and eventually getting therapy. I was rocking with the same therapist for about 2 years. Really helped me in my whole growth process. So I totally understand. To each his own. Everybody's situation is different. But thanks again, everyone, for stopping by for this quick live. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure that you share this video with a friend, someone you know they might be going through a divorce. They might need to hear this. And also make sure, if you are listening to this via Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a rating and review. That will put you in a drawing for a free Amazon gift card. This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach. Take care, people.